voting is important. Have you voted in your lifetime yet? In a democracy, voting is carried out to elect officials that speak on your behalf in important matters. You are allowed to vote at the age of 18. I have voted in 4 elections. Do you know the importance of voting? Voting is important because it's a hard-fought privilege to have, even more so than women through suffrage. And by not voting, you are letting someone else take your vote. Voting is not a right, it is a privilege. It is a hard-earned privilege. In 1790, only white male adults, property owners, were allowed to vote. In 1850, the majority of white male adults could vote. However, black male adults could not. Literacy tests were then implemented. These exams were determined to block people from voting. These tests were typically used to disenfranchise blacks. Some tests even restricted whites. The 15th Amendment passed in 1870, allowing former slaves to vote. However, black women could still not vote, same as white women. This amendment prohibits the denial of the right to vote based on race, color, and previous servitude. Meaning, like if you were, if you got your citizenship, but you were born in another country. As per the U.S. constitutional amendments. Not all people could initially vote. Women were not allowed to vote initially. The 18th Amendment allowed women the right to vote. The Federal Women's Suffrage Amendment, introduced in 1878, was passed by the House and Senate for ratification. The 19th Amendment was then signed into law in 1920. This allowed women the right to vote. Before then, only men were allowed to vote. You shouldn't have to choose the shiniest of 2 turds. That's right, I said 2 turds. By not voting, you are effectively letting someone else choose for you. And using the excuse that you shouldn't have to choose the shiniest of 2 turds does not work. If you voted in the first place, someone you like could be running an election that may not be a turd. There are always write-ins. You can fill in the name of the person you want if they are not listed on the ballot. As we have here, a sample of our vote, this year's voter ballot. And here we do have a few in write-ins that you bubble, circle next to it, and then you write in the person you want. Spellings do not necessarily matter as long as they are eligible to be elected. Don't use excuses to not vote. Saying you won't vote so you can blame those who voted, that the official they voted is doing a crappy job in office, doesn't work. It could have happened either way, and you could be blamed for letting him in office for not voting. Educate yourself on the election. Research those candidates. Find the one you like. Find the one that upholds your core values and go with them. Don't let someone else take your vote. Not everyone around the globe can vote. They can't vote on how the government spends money, how they fund your children's education, and how they should be treated as employees. Voting is a privilege, not a right. Some places, dictatorship or other types of democracies, they have to vote for a certain person, otherwise they are in danger of being killed. Remember the hardships it took to get voting rights for the people. How long it took for women to obtain voting rights. And why not voting is letting someone else vote for you. And here I have the Voters' Bill of Rights. Still privileged, but this is the Bill of Rights. Each registered voter in the state has the right to vote and have his or her vote accurately counted. Cast a vote if he or she is in line at official closing time of the polls in that county. Ask for and receive assistance in voting. If you're blind, deaf, etc. Blind. Receive up to 2 replacement ballots if he or she makes a mistake prior to the ballot being cast. Pen explodes, bleeds through. An explanation if his or her registration or identity is in question. Written instructions to use when voting and upon request. Oral instructions in voting from election officers. Vote free from coercion or intimidation by election officers or any other person. Generally, this means elected officials are not allowed in the polls while they're being conducted. Vote free from coercion. Vote on a voting system that is in working condition and that will allow votes to be accurately cast. And here we have voter responsibilities. Another reason why you should vote. Each registered voter in this state should familiarize himself or herself with candidates and issues. Maintain a current address with the Office of Supervisor of Elections. Know your location of where to poll and its hours of operation. Bring proper identification. Familiarize yourself with equipment in your precinct. Treat precinct workers with courtesy. They're very nice. Report any problems of violation of election laws to Supervisor of Elections. However, voter fraud is very low, almost insignificant, not even existent. Ask questions if needed. Don't be afraid to ask. People are there to help. Make sure that your completed ballot is correct before leaving the polling station. Are you ready to vote? Thank you for your time.